My name is Mr. Teng. I'm the science coach for this PSLE Success in PSLE Seminar 2021. Right, so the purpose of this video is for me to go through the content that we'll be doing for science. Right, so the topic that we're going through, there are three main topics, right? First one is forces. So for forces, there's push and pull. Now, whatever you're seeing so far right now, okay, will be what I'll be going through with the students. Okay, later I'll highlight to you what you will be going through with the students during the breakout sessions, okay? So the idea here is that for forces, right, you actually cannot see the force, but you can observe the effects of a force. This one concept that I want to go through them, right? And the three types of forces that we're going through: magnetic, gravitational, and friction. Okay, three. Right. So here's one example of a question. This question is also what I'll be going through that. So if, for example, here, this is a typical question from a PSLE science paper. So if the table is lubricated with oil, what happens to the amount of force required to pull the block? So this is what I'll be going through them, okay, and why, right? So, right, okay, so here there are two options, right? You see, the first one is less force is required because there's less friction. Now, the option number A is what usually students will answer, okay, because they're not going to answer the whole thing fully, right? And because of not answering the whole thing fully, they're not going to get the full marks, right? So the correct way is actually the second way. This will be the full answer. Okay, so less force is required. The lubricant reduces the amount of friction between the block and the table surface. Hence, less force is required to overcome the friction. Okay, so in the breakout room, right, this will be examples of questions that you have to go through with them. Okay, I will stress on some of the things that you need to know and you need to ask. So, for example, right, in the breakout room, you'll be like, okay, students visiting just now has already gone through the forces, okay, things about the forces. So here's one question for you. Okay, so in front of you, you have a car, right? Sort of a car with a balloon powered car. So can you explain why using a bigger balloon will cause the balloon powered car to move at a faster speed? After looking at their answers, right? So for example here, you see a bigger balloon has more force. Now, even though this particular answer is not wrong, technically it's not wrong, but we cannot accept this as the answer because it's a 2 marks question, right? So 2 marks questions will need you to answer more in depth, right? So the better answer is this. So a bigger balloon has more air, and when this additional air is released, they push the car with more pushing force. Now, then this causes the car to move at faster speed. So remember, this chapter is about force, right? So force is about push and pull, right? And the idea that once you have more force, then there's more effect. You get it? More force, more effect. So in this particular question, if the student were to just answer with like A, they're not going to get the full marks. Yeah. So they have to answer in this way, right? The idea, once again, more force, more effect. Can? Right? So that's the concept. So second question. So a layer of plastic pasted. Why the shape of the bubbles change when the owner try to remove the bubble with his fingers? Okay, so let's take a look at the answer, right? So the wrong answer is, most students will just say, this push and pull, got friction, right? One word answer is very typical. Okay, you're gonna see a lot of them just give you like one word. So one word answers doesn't explain the situation. And when they don't explain the situation, they're not gonna get the full marks. Okay, it's as simple as that, right? So over here, it's because the owner tried to remove the bubble by pushing. So it's a force, right? Pushing. As he push, you see the force caused the bubble to change in shape. So can you see that? A force has an effect on the object, and in this case, the force caused the bubble to change in shape. Right? So if you just answer push and pull, you're not technically answering the question. You understand, right? Is you're not explaining why the bubble changed in shape. Okay, and that is the problem for most students. They actually understand the solution. They know what it is about, right? It's a bit logical, right? I mean, it's definitely logical, but they just know how to put it in words, right? So over here, what we want to stress is, are you putting it across properly? Are you chaining the logic one by one, or are you jumping all over the place? Okay. Next one, so here's another one. Explain why the matchstick head and the side of the matchbox has to be rough for the matchstick to light up. Okay, very common sense questions, right? But students have difficulty phrasing them. So by now, this is question number 3. They should be slightly better if they have not been practicing in school. Now they should get an idea. Yeah, that I cannot just give a simple one word. Like what? Friction. I guarantee you, a lot of them will be like friction, then full stop. Okay, that's not what we want. Okay, we want them to be able to phrase it properly, right? So a lot of them will say, "Oh, more friction, more heat," but that doesn't really answer the question. Okay, so we start with this, right? You say that the rough surface, this rough surface, right, of the matchstick as well as the side of the box, causes more friction, and more friction causes more heat, and heat is required for the matchstick to light up. Simple as that. Okay, right? So that's wrong. This is correct. So question number 4, right? Why when object Y was lifted, only steel ball P remains while steel ball Q dropped onto the ground. Okay, so now obviously this object Y is a magnet. So this steel ball P is attracted. Okay, we know that. But shouldn't steel ball Q also be attracted? No. Right, so the answer is this, yeah? Now, object Y is a magnet, okay? So they have to identify this. And the force of magnetism is strongest at the side. Okay, that means this and weakest in the middle. Hence, when object Y is lifted, the whole bar is lifted, the magnetic force in the middle cannot overcome the gravitational force that's pulling steel ball cube. Okay, so over here is about interaction of forces. Okay, that means you have one force that is stronger than the other one. So because one force is stronger than the other one, there is an effect, right? So what is the effect? The effect is that the cube, steel ball cube, cannot be lifted up. Why? Because the gravitational pull is stronger than the magnetic pull, magnetic force. Whereas for the other steel ball steel ball P is at the side of the magnet, and the side of the magnet has got stronger magnetic force. Get it? Okay, good. So these are the questions for forces. Okay, next is electricity. So for electricity, you have the concept of open and closed circuit, okay, and conductors and insulators, right? And also series and parallel, right? How to identify series and parallel circuits. Right, here's an example which I'll show them. Now, does the bulb become brighter or dimmer when one more battery is added at position X? So they should know that having one more battery will basically increase the brightness, okay? So brighter, most students will say, oh, brighter, because more battery. Not a good answer, not complete, okay? So brighter, why? Because additional battery will increase the flow of electric current, hence increase the brightness of the bulb, okay? Which circuit should be used so that the foot will be the warmest? So in the picture, we see a foot warmer. This foot is being warmed by these two lamps, right? And these two light bulbs. Basically, there are two light bulbs and set 4 different types of ways in which you can power the circuit, right, for these two lamps. So the answer is circuit 4, right? Is used as the two lights are arranged in parallel. Now, when they're arranged in parallel like this, each of the light bulb receives the voltage from 3 batteries. Okay, you can see that over here there are 3 batteries, right? So each one of them has got the electrical energy of 3 batteries, and as a result of that, they will be brighter than the rest, because you can actually calculate for each one. Circuit 1, you have two batteries but divided amongst two light bulbs, so it's one each. And then this is two batteries, but in parallel, so it's just two here, two here. And this is three batteries, but they're arranged in series, so in fact you only get 1.5 per light bulb, right? So that's question number 1. So question number 2, why the car park barrier swings upwards? So this barrier swings upwards when the switch is closed. So the switch is over here. Okay, when you close this switch, now most of the students will be like, oh, electromagnet, right? They know it's an electromagnet. Okay, but 2 marks answer, we cannot just be so simple. It cannot be so simple. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. Okay, so iron rod is an electromagnet. Technically correct, right? Logically correct, but the phrasing not correct. No, they're not gonna earn. They'll probably earn like 1 mark for this. Okay, so you have to explain from the beginning to the end. Okay, when the switch is closed over here, the iron rod becomes an electromagnet. The metal weight is then attracted to the iron rod, right over here, and moves anti-clockwise. Right, the whole barrel moves anti-clockwise, causing the barrel to swing upwards. Detailed explanation is what they need. Okay, question number 3. So X and Y, X, Y, Z are 3 materials, and 2 are conductors and 1 is an insulator. So when the circuit is closed, only 2 bulbs will lead. So which object is an insulator and why? So over here we're testing them conductor and insulator, right? So they need to know insulator don't allow electric current to pass through. Okay, so there's only one location for the insulator, right? For example, okay, let's see the answer. Right, so X must be the insulator, right? Because if you put Z as the insulator, electric current cannot pass through, right? So all bulbs will not light up. If you put Y as the electrical insulator, only B3 will light up. That means only one. So the only option is for X to be the insulator and Y and Z are the conductors. Okay, next question number 4. This is why does the iron ball move up and down repeatedly when the switch is closed, right? So when the switch is closed, let's look at the answer. Right, so when the switch is closed, so basically the iron rod becomes an electromagnet. It attracts the iron ball goes up. Okay, you can do some annotation. So iron ball goes up, but as the iron ball goes up, right, you realize that here becomes an open circuit. And when it becomes an open circuit, the electromagnet is not magnetized again, it's demagnetized, then the iron ball drops. And when the iron ball drops, it causes a closed circuit, and this process repeats. So therefore the ball moves up and down. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, the next one is adaptation. So adaptation is about animals or plants changing structurally, right? That means the body, fur, and structures to adapt to the environment. Okay, there are 2 types of adaptation. You have structural, that means something changed the body, right? And then we have behavioral, that means they behave in a certain way. Okay, like for example, the peacock, the male will do a dance. The dancing is the behavior, right? Okay, here are just examples which I'll be going through them. So as in the breakout room, if they have questions, right, you can actually go through them as well. Okay, right, so it's an example that I'll be going through them, right? Okay, so this is the question 1. Okay, this question is what you will present to them and they have to give you the answer. Let them give you the answer, right? Now if they are unable to type it out, right, you can actually ask them to talk, I think, right? So explain why the monitor lizard burrows a hole and lives in it while in the desert. Okay, so as you can see here, the environment is hot, so definitely one of the reasons is because it needs to escape from the heat, right? So as usual, most will give you like super short answers. Protect against predator, protect against the heat. technically not wrong, right? They only get 1 mark, okay? But we want them to score more, okay? While in the desert, the day is hot, night is cold, the hole provides shade against extreme weathers, shelter, right? So serves as a shelter to hide against predators, hence ensures its survival. So that is why the monitor lizard will burrow a hole and live in it. Okay, next one. So the starfish has 5 arms, which can be regenerated. So explain how this helps to ensure its survival. Okay, so get them to give you the answers, look at the answers. All right, so predator can eat the arm. That's the usual answer, right? So when being chased, the starfish can sacrifice 1 arm while running away, prevent itself from being eaten, and therefore ensure its survival. Okay, let's continue. Yeah. So explain how the enlarged hind legs of the snowshoe hare helps it to survive in the snow environment. So this is the enlarged hind leg. Okay, as usual, there will be a lot of answers like, oh, they can run faster or protect against the cold, right? Stuff like that. These answers will get like 1 mark. Okay, so the enlarged hind legs helps the snowshoe hare to not sink because it's bigger surface area. Okay, you don't have to go in depth, right? They haven't learned about pressure and all that stuff. So just say, oh, the enlarged so that it will not sink into the snow. So because they don't sink into the snow, then they move faster, and in case they're being chased, it will help them run away, okay, from the predators. Okay, here's another one. So this lizard will only have 2 legs on the hot sand at any time while it's on the desert. Okay, to keep its body cool. Yeah, I mean it's not wrong. You get 1 mark. Okay, while keeping only 2 legs, it ensures minimum contact. So there's less surface area in contact with the hot sand. Therefore, less heat is conducted to its body and ensures the body temperature is cool. You see that? So can you see that there's a big difference, right? In terms of the answer, not just the number of words, right? But more like the reasoning and the explanation. So let me just do a quick summary, right? What PSLE needs, right, from most students is this detailed explanation. Okay, detailed explanation for the science concepts. Okay, and this is what we want from the students as well. Now, how about foundation students? So foundation students, we do not need such detailed explanations. Okay, now there is no exact answer, for science. Okay, but how are we going to conduct this is that, okay, as long as foundation students, right, are roughly able to mention, that it's about keeping the body cool, right? And because 2 legs are on the surface at any time, right? So there's less conduction, right? So for foundation students, uh, my experience is that they will need more explanation on why is it to keep the body cool. You understand? Right? But for standard students, they are supposed to give answers like B, okay, detailed answers. But for foundation students, you will be we will be spending more time explaining to them like why they can run faster. You know what I mean? Right? Foundations will be like, huh? They don't understand like what do you mean eat the arm? Then it can regenerate, right? So we will not be too for foundation students, right? We will not be too we will be a bit more lenient, in their answer. So I cannot give you like exactly what it is because there's no exact answer, right? It really depends on the way that they phrase the thing. Okay, but for foundation student, as long as the science is correct, the logic is correct, we will not be uh, too strict. Okay, so that is all. Yeah, that's all for the trainers slides.